What's up, everybody? It's your girl Barbie J here with the recap and review of Tyler Perry's comedy drama Sisters, Season 9, Episode 15, Family Affair. It was a good episode. There was some fun parts and enjoyable parts. But before we get started, let me just say, if you're new here or if you're returning here and have not subscribed to this channel as of yet, please take a moment right now, hit that subscribe button, then hit the notification bell and select all. It'll let you know every time I upload any new content and whenever I go live. Then I ask that you smash that like button, which is the thumbs up button. You write a comment and join the conversation. Give us your 2 cents on what you're feeling about the episode. And then share the video because sharing is caring and you want to help this sister's channel grow, don't you? Because I need you to help me. Anywho, the episode starts off with Andy getting caught by her mama kissing Dr. Vaughn in the conference room, which is so unprofessional for her. I told y'all before from the beginning she didn't deserve that promotion. But anyway, Andy introduces her mother to Dr. Vaughn, and she's pleased by the doctor part. And then she's even happy when she finds out he's the one who saved Karen's life. And so he leaves and says goodbye. And then Andy and her mama sit down, and she lets Andy know that she found out all the gossip about her from people at church, which is crazy. And Andy wasn't trying to give her any details about what really went down. But we do see that the mama did know that Andy was messing with a married man and that the married man's wife almost killed Andy. So Andy's like, Ma, why are you really here? And her mama just looking at her. So then they switch over to Karen and Aaron. And they're sitting on the couch making plans for their future when Pam calls and she's asking, is Karen okay? And Karen's telling her that she's going to have to talk to her later on in the week about something. And she's like, oh, okay. So she hangs up from her. And next thing you know, her mama knocks on the door. And she lets her mama know that she has some news to tell her. She said, me and Aaron have news to tell. So Aaron takes the baby out and Karen tells her that they're going to move out of Atlanta. And Miss Lisa doesn't seem to be happy about that. She's like, but what about this and what about that? And Karen's letting her know the salon and her girls have always been her life, and so much death and sadness that, and and Zach, she said too. So she said, her mother's like, well, did you give Faith any consideration in this? She said, that's why I'm doing it, because of Faith, basically. So that was that scene. Now we over in the parking garage with Officer Green and Danny. And he's letting her know that he wants her digits. And she's like, I got a man. He said, what your man got to do with me? I don't care. I don't care about your relationship status. I'm a patient man. I'm just going to give you my number in case you ever find yourself in need of a friend. She's like, a friend? He said, yeah. Or if you want to get into some trouble. She's like, say what? So anyway, he let her know that he is interested and he'll be there waiting. And she's like, how's that working out for you? He said, it hasn't failed me yet. He said, good things come to those who wait. I said, all right now. And he left. So now we have a scene at the bank with Paige and Maurice. She's a little upset because Dylan came to see him and didn't come to see her. There's a little friction going on. He's noticing that she's upset about it. She's denying it, but it is what it is. Then he goes into Sabrina's office saying he need a break from her. And she said, that's okay. It's slow out there. And he's showing her the vision board that Dylan did. And they're talking about it. Then you see her giggling about something. She sees a text from Karen saying she's doing a sister circle. Then she tells her that Rock is sending her these pictures. And he keeps telling her, you need to just have sex with him. Do not cuddle. Sex and then put him out. He said, what you and Rock are having, he's saying how the relationships with friends, with relatives or friends could be tricky. He said, what Dylan and I are building is a foundation, whereas you and Rock is just sex. And Sabrina's looking at him saying, oh, Maurice, you're in love. And he's like, ain't nobody said nothing like that. I need to know what the pinky looked like. I said, oh, no, he didn't. But that's Sabrina's problem, though. She's so quick to fall in love for some good sex or something nice instead of taking your time. Then she's giggling and he's like, what's going on? And she said, just Rock sending me these pictures. And he's like, oh, let me see. He sees the pictures and he's like, oh, are you sending anything back? She said, no, that's out of my comfort zone. I would never do that. He said, you got it. So here she is listening to his bad advice. He's telling her to grease up her body and take these pictures, but she has to wear a mask. And she's like, a mask? He said, yeah, plausible deniability. We don't want people putting your face with that body, so nobody could say it's you. And she was like, oh, okay. But I'm like, why are you still doing it? Because with all that AI out there today, he could just put her face on that body and everybody will know it's her. Now, briefly back to Miss Lisa and Karen. She finally came around, Miss Lisa, and understanding where Karen is coming from. But it seems like Karen said they already picked a city because she said they have a chapter of that support group there where she could continue her healing. So, whatever. And Miss Lisa just offered to help her any way she can, whether it's packing, babysitting, or whatever else. So, she has definitely come around. However, she did leave Karen's house a bit sad. So now we see Fatima in the conference room and Hayden comes in there talking about how you going to drop Chaz as a client without consulting me first. And Fatima's like, excuse you, consulting you. I'm the one that brought him in as a client. So you work for me. Well, I'm the only legal attorney here and blah, 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 blah. He's saying. So she's like, can you please leave and go? And he's like, not until I hear the game plan. So she said, okay, fine. She asked him to have an open mind, and then she shared her idea about the female athletes and the pay gap is closing and how all the scandals with the male athletes that ruins their brand deals and how often does that happen with female athletes. And then Hayden is like, oh, you may be on to something. So he's sounding like he's on board with that. And so now we go back to the other conference room where Andy's in there with her mom. And her mom wants her to drive her to their Aunt Myra's house. And she said, oh, so that's why you're here. She said, no, I refuse to live under the same roof with you because God only knows what kind of sinful lifestyle you live in. I said, oh, snap. Mama just laid it on her. She said, you got any crosses on the walls in your house? She said, no, Mom, only $1 million painted. She said, that's what I'm talking about. I said, oh, shoot. But check out Andy trying to brag. First of all, the penthouse is $1 million. You don't have $1 million artwork on your walls. So stop trying to feel yourself. So Andy offers to have the firm's car service take her mom to wherever she wants to go and spend the night. And she said, you need to delegate better. That's the problem. And she said, you don't know what I do and don't do here, mother. And she's like, can't you get that girl who works for you, who's your friend, to do it for you? And she said, she's busy, Mom, working on other projects and deals. And she's like, are they deals and projects that you assigned her? Now, where did the mother come out of her face with that? So Andy kind of stumbled over that and said, yes, and other things, all of that. And she said, see, that's why you can't be mixing friendship and business. And I said, see, she said, you need a new assistant. She said, she's a paralegal. She said, same difference. I said, see, Mom, you being disrespectful now. So she tells Andy she'll wait out at the reception area for the car. Meanwhile, now we see Fatima coming home. I guess she coming home in the middle of the day, and she with Zach, and he rubbing her feet, and they're talking. And Zach tells her what happened at the gym with the money in her account. She said, "You bet the $100,000." I mean, yeah. And she said, "Check it out, make sure it's right." And then he tells about the guy, Keys, who he was hanging out with at the gym, and he said Keys knows his father. And so Fatima saying, "I don't know about this, babe. It sounds sus." Meaning suspect. And she said, you always trust in people and I don't want you to get involved in this and then you get your hopes up and then you get hurt. And so he said, you always looking out for me, babe. I love it. You always 10 toes down for me. She said, that's right. I always going to look after what's mine. Hearing her say it sounds funny. Anywho, he wanted her and him and Keys to have dinner together or something so she could give her opinion about him and what she think. And he said he trusts her opinion. Even though she didn't want to do it, she said she would. So then Fatima gets back to work and Andy's mama is sitting at the reception. She jumps up and said, are you Fatima? She said, yes. She said, I'm Andy's mother. She said, oh, it's a pleasure to meet you. She's very kind, very sweet to her and stuff. And she said, if you need anything, just give me a call. And she said, well, from what I hear, you got your plate full. And Andy used to say such nice things about you. She said, used to. She said, yeah, now she seemed to be so stressed and saying she has no help. So she says, can I offer you some advice, Fatima? And Fatima says, sure. And she gets close in her face and tells her she need to get her stuff together or her daughter's going to fire her. And she said, did Andy say this? She said, it doesn't matter. And so Fatima's like, let me get out of here. And she said, one more thing. Fatima, go back over there. Yes, ma'am. I want you to tell me what you know about Dr. Vaughn. He's the doctor that saved Karen's life. I know that already. I want to know about his relationship with my daughter. I want you to spill the drink. Isn't that what y'all call it? We know it's spill the tea, though, right? But with Fatima being a good friend, she never told. Because when Fatima got back to her desk, she called Zach and told Zach what happened. And Zach was like, what? That's messed up that Andy would have her mom do her dirty work. So then that's when he felt the need to tell her that he saw Andy naked. And she was like, oh, y'all kept this from me? He said, no, I was supposed to tell you, but all this stuff was going on and I forgot and da-da-da-da-da. But that's not what really went down. I remember they said we can't say nothing to nobody. But Zach changed it and said, we said that we would tell just you. So I don't know what the deal is about that, why the script changed like that, but y'all know this is Tyler Perry land. So Zach was telling Fatima not to get mad. She said she's not mad, but I need to talk to Andy right now. And they hung up and he said, oh, she gonna kill that girl. So now we have Danny. She comes home from work and we see that Tony's in there, probably just lost some money gambling, who knows what. And he's like, why are you home early? And she's like, they cut my hours, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, about my birthday next week. What about your birthday next week? While she cleaning up mess that he got left around. He's like, the kids want to come in and celebrate with us. He said, okay. I was thinking they could just stay here. We got plenty of room. She said, what room? What room do you see around here? She told him he need to go to a hotel with his kids. He was like, are you serious? She said, as a heart attack. So then she saw some lubricant on the table and he was saying that she wasn't as basically moist the last time they have sex and he had a burn on his wee-wee. And so she's like, oh no, I know I got a whop. I don't know what it is. You're the problem. So she said, let me get out of here before I get even more upset or something like that. She takes the envelope full of money she had in her pocket, threw it on the table. He's like, what's that? Oh, that's money I didn't want to carry around. But she's looking at him, looking at the money, looking at him. And she said something to him. I didn't know what it was, but she left. And I was sitting here thinking that's the dumbest thing she could do. Whether you live with somebody or live alone, you usually put your money away in a drawer or something. You don't just leave it laying out around the house. And with us all knowing that Tony has been gambling, she don't know that. We have a feeling, I know I do, that he's going to take that money and spend it. And so the episode ends with Danny and Sabrina at the restaurant, and then comes in Andy and she says hello. Danny gives her the cold shoulder. Sabrina talks to her. She's like, where's Karen? And she's on her way. She starts telling them about Dr. Vaughn and working together on this project. And she was like, Danny asked, is it personal or is it business? She's like, well, right now it is business or professional or something like that. I was like, girl, you was just kissing him in the conference room. So Danny already knows. She's like, oh, please tell it to the judge. So they was about to get into it. And thank God Karen came and sat down and wanted to tell him. And she looks beautiful. She looks so much better. I like the hair. She looks great. And they let her know. And as soon as she's about to tell the girls what's going on, Fatima came in and she apologized, for interrupting. She said, Karen, I'm sorry, but I need to talk to Andy for a minute. And Danny said, you might as well tell her around all of us. And she said, I need to talk to her in private. And Danny's like, oh. And Andy's like, oh, Fatima, can't this wait? We're in the middle or something. She said, no, it can't. I'll be over at the bar. And you can hear somebody go, oh, something like that. And so that's how it went down. Y'all let me know down in the comment section what y'all thought about it. But I thought it was a pretty good episode. And I can't wait to see what happens next week. It's your girl Barbie J saying, please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Peace.